Hi, ladies. I'm Cordes Lindow, and my mission is to empower women who want to start or grow their own businesses to unleash the power within them to create the life of their dreams so they can flourish. So, the one way we're going to start talking about this is how are you going to organize your thoughts, keep everything straight. And there are lots of different tools, and I'm just going to start with the most basic here, and it is the good old composition book. This is something I used pretty regularly for quite some time, and it's got a lot of advantages. One, it's super cheap, right? It's also the most basic way to just keep track of all your thoughts, and sometimes easier is better. The main point is that you're going to have one place that you're capturing all of your information. Now, one mistake I made early on was I wanted to have a different composition book for oh, this is one for each kid. This is one for my work. This is one for my personal goals. Then you can never remember where you wrote anything down. My best bit of advice on this is just have one composition book at a time. So I actually have like a couple right here. So, I would write one. Once it was finished, then I would go on to the next one. And I carried around with me everywhere I went and wrote down notes on absolutely everything. So it's nice because then oh, I wrote this down and I know where it is because it's only going to be in one place, right? You can also make it very nice by having a table of contents and number your pages. When I was teaching, that's how I had my students organize their notes. And I actually was very structured in telling them this is what you need on each page. And then I just had them number these pages down here. Now on my own, I did not do that. I was not as organized. And you can see I just filled up all my pages. There's nothing written on there and I have no table of contents, but it does make it easier. Obviously, that takes a little bit more time if you are trying to just keep notes. But making that table of contents, so just reserve, I would say, the first 3 pages because there's usually 99 pages or 100 pages in these composition books, and you have about 33 lines usually on one page. So leave the first, by 3 pages, I mean page 1, 2, and 3, leave those for your table of contents. Just write the topic and the page number, and then you could just add the page numbers as you go. Now, one other thing is that if you have any artistic abilities, you can really use this to your benefit. And I had students who were amazing at this and would use color and images. And those are actually really good for your brain too, because it signals different kind of memory cues as to where that information is, but as you even come up with the image, it's making you process the information in a certain way to think of what image is going to represent those thoughts. Also, colors will help code and group information. And as you group information in different ways, that helps you to use and remember the information better. And also when you're flipping back through your journal or composition book, it'll make it a lot easier to find those things. Even if you aren't this is a con, is that I have terrible handwriting. I don't let it stop me. I mean, you look at any page, it's very, very messy, but well, yeah, you can doodle, but I don't actually recommend doodles unless it's actually intentional. And I would always count down my students for that. But even with my messiness, I can make using kind of graphics like lines and boxes to help me note and prioritize. I could make here were different topic areas. Each of those kinds of things help you to organize your thoughts, and you can do it on a way on paper that you can't really do as well digitally. It's not the same sensation and kind of connecting that tactile sensation with your brain. And as you do those, it helps you remember. I mean, even I love doing little checkbox marks and then I can check them off. Those are things to do, or I can star it and make notes like that. Now, some disadvantage. One is that obviously you have to remember to take it around with you everywhere. And if you don't, then you're going to have some little loose piece of paper or another notebook, and that doesn't help you when they're in lots of different places. Also, it does fill up, and it's really annoying if it fills up and you're making notes in one particular place and you fill up your last page. Then you got to start a new one. So then you're going to end up with multiple books. The other thing is if you have any kind of team or need to share it with other people, it's much more difficult to share this. I mean, I've had people take pictures of pages and text them to each other, but it's not as interactive that way. You can't like assign tasks and things like that, which you'll see with some other tools I review. It's also harder to edit, right? Once you've written it down on paper, you can't really change it. I mean, you can have scratch outs, but it doesn't look very nice. Some people get obsessive and have to carry around whiteout with them. But basically, when you're making mistakes, it's all there. You see it all, and you can't make it nice and neat. Another big one for me is if you come up with the ideas while you're driving around, because some reason all the ideas come to me while I'm driving, walking, or in the shower. There's science reason behind that, but you can't obviously capture those ideas. The other thing I've noticed going back on my notebooks is, you can spill things on your pages, and then you end up with, or the pages bleed through and you can't read them as well. Or if you just have bad handwriting like me and you look back and you can't make any sense of your notes. So in any case, you can see that a composition book can be very useful to start to collect your ideas and your thinking. And top tips are make sure you just have one, put everything in there. Try to use that table of contents. If you're artistic in any way, or even if you aren't, try to use color coding and imagery, little sketches to help make more sense of those ideas. Use your kind of lines and boxes to highlight and make certain ideas stand out and to organize your ideas. Just writing your ideas and thoughts down will help you elaborate them in an idea that, and bring clarity to those ideas that you can't when they're just bouncing around, or even when you just say it to somebody else. Forcing it into the written word brings a lot more clarity than you have from almost any other means. So if you do nothing else, just get started on that composition book. There's no reason you can't start that today. Until next time.